Well, how about we take a look at what's going on over in Afghanistan? We have the story. It's pretty interesting. Tucker Carlson questions if Biden admin botched Afghanistan withdrawal on purpose. And we got some more stories to potentially back up the claim that Joe Biden screwed up Afghanistan on purpose. Tucker Carlson pondered whether or not the administration deliberately botched the Afghan withdrawal during his show Thursday evening. Carlson's guest, Glenn Greenwald, was discussing how there are elements in the political establishment that would like us to remain in Afghanistan. The conversation led to the host questioning if there was a possibility there was an interest in screwing up to justify future engagement. Quote, I never want to be a conspiracy nut at all, but I mean, everything you said is true so far. So is it worth at least wondering? This is such an obvious screw up. You and I have no experience running a military or logistics withdrawal. I can't even organize my garage, but even you and I would probably do a better job of withdrawing than these guys. It was just like, it was comically bad. Is it possible they had an interest in making it bad to justify future engagement, or is that too much to even speculate about? Well, I give you the story from the Daily Mail. Glenn Beck claims U.S. State Department and Biden's White House are blocking his efforts to rescue Afghan Christians from the Taliban who want to set them on fire. Why would they tell someone with the capability of helping in the evacuation not to? Why would they block that? Unless they want the chaos so they can justify remaining.
Well, I think there's some legitimate reasons and some illegitimate reasons. I mean, the illegitimate reason, they don't want to be shown up. They don't. Our troops are not have not been allowed to leave the airport area to go rescue Americans elsewhere in Kabul, much less the rest of Afghanistan. But if you flip it around, if you're trying not to have a confrontation with the Taliban and trying to get everybody out, and you've got random elements out there who, let's just say, are more cowboy-esque and willing to fight if they've got to, well, then government's going to, then the Taliban's going to see that as engagement across the board, and then our troops are fighting. So I can see that, but what I can't see is when the State Department rejects, when you get people to the airport and the State Department says, sorry, you can't come in. Yeah. Our State Department is not requiring all the paperwork for everybody who gets there that they're getting out. So then it looks more like, hey, you showed us up, you made us look bad.
Let me make a better point. In the morning of the attacks, the U.S. and the U.K. warned their citizens to stay away. The Marines who lost their lives were also briefed that there was potentially going to be an attack. They were still told to process Afghan allies. Something doesn't add up here. Think about this in full context. You've got Marines at the gates checking IDs for Afghan allies to bring them in. The U.S. says someone is going to try to attack us. American citizens stay away, but we'll still board Afghan allies. So they tell the Americans, no, you can't come right now because there's a threat. These people are welcome to get on the plane, and many of them did.
They weren't worth as much.
But something doesn't make sense. This to me is well beyond a mistake.
For all I know, the U.S. government could have planted the freaking bombs and lied about it. We're in conspiracy world. What the heck's going on?
We're not in conspiracy world. We're talking about a fact that they issued a warning saying Americans stay away. They told the Americans not to come, and then told the Marines to keep processing the Afghan citizens. And then a bomb went off, killing Marines and Afghan citizens. And the reason why there weren't Americans there is because they were told not to be there.
But 13 Americans died.
U.S. Marines who are still down there checking IDs at the airport. Why weren't they pulled from the checkpoints?
Well,
why didn't they say, if we can't get Americans out, we ain't getting anybody out, and we're not going to risk the lives of our troops? No, they said, stay at your post. Someone's going to attack us. We won't let those Americans die, but you're cannon fodder. That's just what they did. It is. I can't imagine that it was an accident.
No, immediately after it happened, you get Biden come out and say, we're going to go after whoever did this at a time of our choosing, at a place of our, basically saying, just so you all know, this is a green light for us to reinvade or to reattack.
We're going to hunt them
day.
down.
So they're also talking about blowing up all the vehicles and aircraft that we left. So, you talk about, ongoing relations with the Taliban, but by the way, hey, those jets are flying over your country, blowing up your stuff. They're ours.
Yeah.
And we made it clear we're not getting everybody out. We know we're not getting everybody out. So then what happens the first time? Because the Taliban is not a top-down organization. It's not, it's not like the U.S. military where when the president gives an order, you expect a private somewhere 7,000 miles away to do exactly what the president ordered. So let's say the first time Taliban not just chops off the head of an American, but live casts it somewhere, spreads the video on the internet. What are we going to do about it? I mean, this is going to be an ongoing thing. How many hundreds or thousands of Americans and then also American allies and all are going to be left there? And, it's... So, I mean, whether you like it or not, it's certainly been botched. You're right. I mean, we could have gotten the D&D group from downstairs. We could have planned a better exit using miniatures. And
I just want to stress this point that needs to be said because it needs to be questioned there needs to be a hearing. This needs to be brought up. If they said there is an imminent attack and Americans should stay away, but then told the Marines to keep working to process non-citizens for transport, something doesn't make sense.
I think they were taking a risk. Like they knew there was a probable attack, but you can't shut down just based on...
Enough to not evacuate American citizens? Yeah. Enough to say we will leave Americans behind enemy lines? Something doesn't make sense. What does Joe Biden... Look, we're hearing wild estimates. Some say 1,000 to 2,000 Americans still in Afghanistan. Some say 35 to 50,000. Who knows? Yeah, that's some people have... I don't know if that's true or not. NBC reported 15,000. Then there was AP reporting 4,400 evacuated. So let's say maybe 10,000. We don't know. And when the Biden administration's asked, they won't say. So we don't know. But it was enough to say Americans should not come for evacuation, but not enough to say Marines should stop processing.
I mean, you could argue that they're trying to clear the crowd around the area so we can get Americans out. But the problem is the crowd doesn't dissipate.
It's millions of people.
I was going to say, as soon as you clear out people who are around the airport, more people come.
Right.
Because a whole bunch of people, particularly in Kabul, want to get out. If you're a woman, why? I mean, and you have some opportunity to get out. Why would you want to stay in the 7th century lunatic asylum where you're going to be sex slave and that's just your entire future? You're not going to be able to. You're not going to be out of the burqa. You're not going to be able to educate. You're not going to be able to educate your kids.
The kids will be taken and basically put into military training.
Yeah. Why would you want to stay? So I understand why people want to get out, but it's like they said, well, we've planned out every eventuality. Clearly, they did not.
That's a lie. Unless they did, and this is what they want. Because, I mean, take it to its logical conclusion. If they did plan every contingency, oh, wow, so this is on purpose?
Well, so why did we close Bagram Air Base? I mean, that's really the big question. You don't have to say we would take the whole exit plan to Bagram, but why do we close the base that's isolated and safe and you don't have really high buildings around where snipers could shoot at you and stuff like that?
Something's wrong. This is, part of me wants to believe that Biden fell asleep during a meeting and Kamala and Milley and the other, members of his administration were just kind of like, so early lunch, and then got up and walked out. Like, we don't care. That's on him, not us. He's the one who's going to, be attacked in the media. Who's going to blame us, huh?
Well, it turns out a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, and not just...
Buck stops with Biden, and he's getting the most of the heat.
Right, but it's not just... And to be fair, it's not just one party. It's not just one group of generals. This is 20 years of everybody owns this. And, we've left 600,000 rifles. 600,000 rifles in there. Thousands of vehicles, couple hundred aircraft. We left $85 billion worth of hardware. And I'm sorry, I find it hard to believe that that's entirely accidental. That
you ever see Idiocracy?
Oh, love Idiocracy.
Mike Judge, man. You see?
Oh yeah, I just saw it a week ago.
Yeah, we were watching it. It was funny.
It's a documentary.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, so I think about how Mike Judge took this concept of like, if nature just rewards those who reproduce the most, what would happen? And I'm like, let's imagine a future based on American foreign policy in the Middle East and what it leads to. So you've got, ISIS, You've got the supporting of this of Syrian rebels and arms dealing, not to mention Fast and Furious with the cartels. And you could make an idiocracy where it's like, after hundreds of years of the U.S. going into foreign countries for intervention, losing and then leaving behind hundreds of millions of dollars in supplies, the world ends up with like massive armed factions with like American level technology in all these different parts of the globe, all going to war and just blowing each other up. You end up with like just 50 different ISISes, ISIS A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and they're all in different regions, all with Black Hawks and F-15s, bazookas, and hundreds of thousands of rifles.
Be a good video game.
Yeah.
The year is 2130. America just pulled out of its 87th attempt. Here you go.
Like, why didn't they decommission the planes? Why didn't they melt them down with thermite or
because
something?
we left all this stuff for the Afghan army. I have to lift my other arm so I can do air quotes for
Right.
Afghan army. I don't really blame the Afghan, the soldiers. They lost 50,000 guys in 20 years fighting against the crazy Taliban. But their leaders were corrupt. Their leaders were evil. We weren't allowed to stop that. The fact that it fell apart so fast because they tried to create a modern army for people who were not ready for it.
Yeah, and Kurt Schlichter explained this, was saying that we built a modern American-style army with massive amounts of logistics, which is like the backbone of our army. It was massive logistics, and then we removed the logistics from the
when Biden
Afghan army.
When Biden pulled and said, we're pulling out, he wouldn't allow the contractors back in. Well, the contractors were maintaining the Air Force.
Yeah.
Well, they had a land-based army that was counting on air support and of course that they realized, hey, you guys built the wrong army. You left us out hanging out to dry. We built like some Pentagon fantasy army.
You ever play Command and Conquer?
Yeah.
Oh,
I love they should have built Tesla coils just all over.
There's still time.
This is really the OG gaming night. This is
Great.
we're whipping out Command and Conquer, man.
that's no
For
joke.
those that aren't familiar with the reference, Command and Conquer is like an isometric strategy game where you collect resources, Tiberium, and then
Similar to StarCraft.
So there's something you can build. I think Tesla coils are Nod, right? They're like the bad guys.
Or is that
It's-
Red Alert? Did Nod have
Right,
Tesla
yeah.
coils? Or is that only
I
the
think-
second
I
one
think-
in Red Alert?
I think that's Red Alert.
When the
Oh, okay,
Soviets
Red
had
Alert.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Soviets. So awesome game, by the way.
Dude, so groundbreaking.
So you build towers, and they're Tesla coils, and when anyone gets close, it just zaps them with a bolt of lightning and just.
That was how I learned about the word Tesla. I didn't know I never even heard the name before. That's how,
Dude,
how buried that guy
we,
was.
We were talking about, we got weeds. Okay, we got like weeds. They're growing everywhere. And we used to have this really nice like trim around the porch of wood chips. And the weeds started growing and just nobody really paid attention. Within like a month, it's just a jungle, right?
Thicket.
So I got a weed whacker. But the weeds are too overgrown and the whacker broke. So I was like, what do we do? I'm like, we have these throwing axes. I'm like, what if we bolt a throwing axe to the weed whacker? And then everyone's like, that's a really, really bad idea. Because this is going to eject a hatchet,
You're
and I'm
standing
like,
next to it.
It's a weapon.
hold on. And so I said, what if we took the magnetron out of a microwave, attached it to the end of a 2x4, put a soup can on it to direct the microwaves, and then carried one of those high-power batteries we have in our backs and created a portable active denial system, and then we could point that, which would effectively boil the water in the weeds and kill them. And then I realized, whoa, we can build a portable active denial system. That's kind of crazy.
Cool.
Active denial system is a microwave weapon the military uses to make people feel like they're on fire. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
I'm sure your neighbors would just love to know that you built one of those.
We don't really have neighbors. I mean, kind of. You have to walk quite a bit for the most part. But I don't know what the law is on that. So we'll just not do it.
I think I would recommend, at least while we're on YouTube right now, saying that you're not planning on building this.
Well, we can plan on it, but we got to look into the legality.
Hold on. There's videos on YouTube showing you how to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when you put the soup can, or I think they might use a Pringles can, it's like depending on the frequency of the microwaves, it focuses it. And so this is really cool. They do these experiments where they will take a 2x4, put the magnetron on it, plug it in, and they'll point it at fluorescent lights, and they'll light up. That's like, it's crazy, right? Like wireless energy.
Yeah, and this is a little, maybe not off topic, but a bigger picture. I can't
Wait, what is on topic?
can't-
So at this point,
I can't stand the
Friday,
nanny
man.
state trying to like protect and control the mind, because it's this we have access to the most dangerous and epic equipment at all times. We have open flame, for instance, fire. It's like,
yeah, you can get your own flamethrower,
and it's the
those are illegal.
The opportunity,
in a lot of states.
the opportunity,
depending
for
on where
humans,
you are, though. That's
like for a human to experiment with dangerous technologies, part of how we've developed and become what we are as a species. So to think that we could ever mute that for the safety of our species is, in my opinion, just is illogical.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.